that's so loud. It's louder than the exhaust. Quite definite. Oh, Mustang. Nice. Roadworks everywhere, and fuel is at an all-time high, so I'm actually turning the car off at traffic lights now and driving somewhat calm. What the hell are you doing? You're battering the ground with a bucket. That ain't gonna do anything.
Alright then folks, here's a nice little flat lay of some of the things you're going to need and some of the stuff that's going to help you. Definitely going to need those sockets that I've listed, but some of the stuff that helps is the anti-seize, WD, nice big hammer, you know, the usual. Screwdrivers help too. Going to start with this retaining screw here. They can be tight, so whack it with a hammer if you need to, just to shock it loose. Need to remove these centre caps here. They can be quite rusted on depending on how many miles you've done, so you know, give it a good whack with a hammer and a screwdriver. And I'm making it look effortless, obviously. It was a pain at the backside. Yeah, just that easy, see? Going to need the 32mm socket for this and the power bar because this is going to be really tight. I'm going to shock it loose with the hammer and then just give it a good go and it'll come loose. Now probably best to say work this off with the socket and the power bar and then with your fingers when it's finger tight. Don't go at it with the impact socket just so you can feel if it's binding on the threads or anything. Get a bit of WD-40 on these two back bolts for the caliper here. I'll try and give you a better close-up. So it's this top one that I'm going to point at here and the bottom one to go with it, so those two bolts there. They're going to be tight if you've never had them off before, so you might need the power bar again. Take them all the way out and then you'll be able to remove your caliper. Now at this point, it's probably easier to take the caliper apart, but I'm a stubborn bugger, so I just whacked it with the rubber mallet, because why the hell not? Once that's off, precariously balance it somewhere, like on top of the back end plate, because what's the worst that could happen, really? So you can kind of hear that grinding a little bit. Camera didn't totally pick it up, but it's a bad bearing. So we've just removed the retaining bolt and we're just going to put this castle nut back on here, just because the disc is stuck to the hub, so that'll just give us a little bit more leverage to yank it off. There we go. And then remove the castle nut so you can slide the hub gently off the spindle. Like that. Now you need to clean everything up because you don't want any dirt ingress getting into your nice new shiny bearing. So go out with a bit of WD and the wire brush. But you want to be careful with this because that little ABS sensor there is sensitive to impact and sensitive to stuff getting on it. So you know, try not to whack it with the wire brush and try not to get a load of crap on there. Once you've done that and got it cleaned up, it might be worth just giving the back plate a clean while you're in there. You know, stop any dirt coming off that. So I just use a bit of brake clean for it. Now then you're going to need some anti-seize or copper slip, copper grease, whatever you want to call it. And you're just going to lob that all over the spindle. And that's just going to help everything slip back together nicely, but it's going to stop things binding up in future. And you know, maybe keep a bit of the heat transfer down as well, so you never know, bearing might last a bit longer for you. first time. Right, so you're going to need a new bearing kit. It comes complete with the hub and bearing as one, and you get the dust cap and the castle nut in there. This is your magnetic ring that the ABS sensor reads, so that obviously goes to the back. Now make sure you didn't get any grime or anything on that, because that'll impede it from doing its job, so make sure it's nice and clean. Slide the hub on carefully, make sure it spins, and just give the bearing a little push just to make sure that it's sat on the spindle there and hasn't kind of pushed back out, because they do have a tendency to do that. Aye man, use the Newcastle nut. Make sure you torque everything up. Now this is just a guide. I just got these torque settings off AutoDock. If you're in any way questioning it, then check it out and let us know in the comments if I've done it wrong, you know. Saves me a job. And we're just going to lob a bit more anti-seize on just to make sure the disc doesn't bind up on it. And lob your nice shiny new dust cap back on carefully, very carefully, with a hammer. It's at this point that, you know, your brake caliper's going to want to fall off if you've balanced it like I did. Oh, coffee o'clock. Line the disc back up, dip your retaining bolt in some anti-seize, and lob it back in there. That's just going to make sure that it comes out nicely next time when you evidently need to do this again. Make sure it all spins freely, then lob your caliper back on there. Would have been easier to do this if you took the caliper apart, but you know, stubbornness, all that jazz. I'm an idiot, don't do as I do. Do it properly, don't just braid on with a hammer. And again, we're just lobbing a bit more anti-seize on these bottom bolts here. And it's probably worth mentioning to put a bit of anti-seize on your wheel bolts as well, and that'll just stop them, you know, rusting in there. Spin it round your nuts off. Nobody likes round nuts. And a bit of brake clean on your disc just to make sure there's no contaminants on there off those nice clean gloves. So, you know, get a nice fresh clean cloth, or just a bit on that cloth that's not contaminated. Well done, Martin, well done, fantastic work. And a bit more anti-seize just to stop the wheel from getting stuck on the disc. And final bit of advice is just to make sure you put your wheel bolts in a diagonal pattern or a cross pattern. It just spreads the load a bit and helps drive the wheel on central and stop it from going on a bit crooked. Alright, make sure you torque it all up and then torque up your locking nut.
Well folks, that's it. Wheel bearings are done. The car is tolerable once more. So we're cruising at around the same sort of speed that it was squealing its knackers off before. And it's nice and quiet now, other than, you know, the noisy exhaust, but I'm not having to shout to talk to you, so that's a good thing. Yeah, so if you've enjoyed this, feel free to like, subscribe, all that jazz, it helps out. I hope this helps somebody. The rear wheel bearings are really easy to do. Even if you're an amateur mechanic, it's really not that scary to do on your driveway. But anyway, that's it folks. I'm still not tired of that.